Okay, I put the schedule up on the board. We tweaked it slightly today. So after Peter's talk, Roger's going to go second thing in the morning, is that, and then lunch break, Jonathan Fernandez, and then class is open, and then all of tomorrow and Friday morning is open, and we'll see what people want to talk about.
Okay, very good. So today, just to get started, just completely expository discussion of cells, associative varieties, kind of to set the table for the more serious talks of Roger and Jonathan who are coming after.
Sure.
What?
You said don't apologize.
Oh, I'm not apologizing. Just preparing. And some of the commands for W cells, Jeff was explaining to me, have only been recently implemented in the latest version 1.07. So Jeff will run up and help me with examples at various points. Okay, so the place to get started is, so we'll start with cells. And the toy example is category O. So maybe I'll denote that O row. Okay, so I'm looking at highest weight modules, and I'm fixing the block which contains the trivial representation. That's what this is. So the Grothendieck group, so the Grothendieck group which I've been known maybe K has, without the boldface, has another meaning later. So of course, so I'll use the boldface K for K0 of O. And that has a basis of irreducibles, and it also has a basis of Verma modules. So let me just introduce the notation. Maybe I'll use X here. So the integral Grothendieck group is the span of the Verma modules. Here, M of X is U of G, tensor U of B, X row minus row. Okay, so
is it better to use minus X row, minus row?
Probably. That will work. So we'll take a look at the normalization in just a second. And this has a unique irreducible quotient, L of X. Okay, so I should have been a little bit more clear about what the setting was. So G is complex semi-simple. So for this example, B H plus N is some fixed Morel sub-algebra. Okay, so the Verma module M of X has a unique irreducible quotient, L of X, and well, this was maybe the more obvious equality. The Grothendieck group of O row is, by definition, spanned by the irreducible objects at row, and those are all of the LX's. But we're also familiar with the fact that the Verma modules also span that basis. So let's see. So if X is the long element of the Weil group, then minus the long element row minus row, that becomes row. Did I do this? Yeah, that becomes row minus row 0. So this is set up so that is the trivial representation in G. Okay, and L of E is M of E. Okay. Okay, so then WX on this this Z vector space, the Z module, but in the obvious way, by the left regular representation. So say on this program. So W applied to like that. Okay, so obviously I could have taken the right regular representation, I could have taken the WW cross representation, left and right. Let me just stick with left for now. Okay? And so it's just the permutation action on this basis. The point is that there's this other, much more subtle and interesting basis of the L of x's, and well, let me just make a definition and explain what it's designed to do. You say that x is bigger than y, and I'll put a little L to remind us that this definition depends on the left regular representation. If, well, something about if L of y appears in the expression of W L of x in the Z basis, in the L basis, for some W and W. Okay, so just unpack that a little bit. The action of W in the L basis is complicated because the change of basis matrix between the L's and the M's is complicated, even though the action of W in the M basis is totally transparent. It's going to be interesting in the L basis. So I can apply W to this complicated vector and see and express it in terms of the L basis, express that, and see what terms appear. And if a Y appears for some action of W, then the notation will be X is bigger than Y.
Sorry, this makes 1 the biggest element.
Oh, okay, so do I need to?
I probably, yeah.
Let's do that. Okay, so if I can get, it's obviously just a convention, but we'll get back to David's statement in just a second. So let's see. So let me just change things around so that when I apply W to L of x, if Y appears, X will be less than Y. Okay, so then now. So what is let's see. So let's do an example. So I guess what David's comment is the identity is now less than. So the claim in this example that the identity is less than any element Y in W. So let's just make that an exercise in this definition. Well, we know that L of the identity, the vowel character formula for the trivial representation. Am I going to be able to do this?
I think I screwed you up by making you change the sign of row.
Okay. Okay. So
the identity.
Yeah. So with this now, W naught is the trivial representation, and so W naught hopefully would be bigger than everything else. Is that the way that? So maybe I'll make this an exercise because I'm starting to get flustered here, but it's an easy exercise. And so use the okay.
So it's not true that one is smaller than everything?
And it is, and there's a companion exercise which is that the identity is less than everything. And then here, the hint, or it's not really a hint, I mean, it's the fact that use is L and use N. Okay, so that's some sense elementary definition, although it's predicated on the I mean, it's an elementary definition, but it's complicated to compute because you have to know something about the L basis. So let me just make that as a remark then. So you can compute this left relation in the obvious way by computing all the KO polynomials and writing down the action of W in the L basis. And that would be the most obvious thing to do. You compute the change of basis matrix between the L's and the M's. The only way you know how to do that is by computing KL polynomials, evaluating them at 1, and then just work out the definition in terms of that basis, which you now have a handle on. Okay, but in many cases, what you would like to do is maybe go backwards to do something about something significant about the order, which tells you something representation theoretically, without going and computing the entire matrix of polynomials. So in the old days, that computing polynomials was sort of inaccessible, and so you would try to get by with less to learn things representation theoretically, and I'll give examples in a moment. But this is how Atlas would compute this order, for example. G is a complex group. We know how to make how the block of trivial is parameterized by the Weil group that came up in a number of previous talks. And so this preorder would be computed in the way that I just described. Okay, so let me make another definition. So X is left left equivalent to Y if and only if X is bigger than Y and Y is bigger than X. Okay, so then the equivalence classes, the equivalence classes are called left cells. Cells. And again, if I'd used the right regular representation, we'd have a notion of right cells. If I'd used both of them, we'd have two-sided cells. Okay, so what is the structure? What structure do we have here? So notice, notice what? Let's see. So I can take. Maybe I don't even need. What would be? I guess I don't. Notice that this vector space. If I take a look. Let me try this. So if I fix X, then the sum over the y's that appear, and so I'm saying y appears means y is bigger. So y is such that y is bigger than x. So if I take a look at this, the span of the y's that appear when I apply any w to x, then that is w invariant. Okay. And it has an interesting submodule. So I don't really want to squeeze, well, maybe if I lift it high enough.
in your definition, yeah, x is equivalent to y. So what's the left-hand side? The right-hand side, the x bigger than y and y bigger than.
Oh, did I just write the same thing twice? No, I wrote it.
But your operator is kind of between the two formulas.
Yeah. What's the?
Oh, so define x is, well, I can just say if that's the case. One is bigger
I
than.
still can't read the symbol between the two.
And.
This.
And.
And I'm sorry.
It was 3 dots vertically or?
Is that
I'm not
clear?
sure what it was. And is what it meant.
It was a little,
It was a squiggle. It was a squiggle. I'm disappointed.
So this is not a partial order. I mean, the order is not a partial order.
Yes, it is partial order.
It's a partial pre-order.
Or,
I mean, they,
So there's two things. It's not a partial order and it does include the identity, which is not clear from the symbol. There's no equals.
yeah.
okay, so
But it does include x equals y from definition.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kajdan and Lustig probably wrote greater than or equal to, because Kajdan is such a stickler for notation.
I mean, so since there's been a discussion at this point, let's not lose everybody in these details because it's really a trivial point. So there's been some lobbying effort on the part of the audience to make less than or equal to. Okay, and why? Because in this definition, x is less than or equal to itself because I could just take the w to be the identity. Okay, if I take w to be the identity, then L of x appears in the identity applied to L of x. So x is less than or equal to itself. Okay, and that is less in this left pre-order than itself. So maybe it would be better to write less than or equal to. Okay, so let me. If you're taking notes at home, you can do this everywhere. Okay, so then I hope that it's not a very deep point, but it could be confusing if you were seeing it for the first time. So x can be greater than or equal to itself and less than or equal to itself. So greater than itself and less.
Change that. Just change the symbol.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so why don't I then change the symbol down there too. But the point is that there's the subspace which consists of the y, so maybe I'll emphasize this, that y is bigger than x, but it's not equivalent to x. So in other words, so i.e. y is strictly bigger than x. So this might be confusing. One way to say is y is bigger than or equal to x, and y is not equivalent to it, which is to say that y is strictly bigger than it. So maybe I change my notation so that without the equal sign, it really.
It's much clearer to say that x is not bigger than y. Strictly doesn't mean very much bigger.
Okay. So
what Peter wrote, I think, is the way Kajdan and Lustig write, and it's well defined.
what would be your
It's
preferred?
not the same to say that x is bigger than y, or to say that y is not bigger than x.
And y is not bigger than?
Not equivalent.
So that's what I had.
Not less, because equivalent means it is equal.
Yeah, so y is not.
I don't understand.
You
your
say
question.
A and not A and B, but you might as well say A and not B. Equivalence means A and B, that's that. You're claiming one hand of the and not both, so you might as well say it's not the other.
but you're not disagreeing with what he said.
No, it's just a silly way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was not. It's bigger than or equal, it's not different.
Okay. But I think, anyway, let me finish this statement. This is also W invariant. So if I look at the things that I can get to from, oops, I should, if I look at the things I can get to from X, but I can't get back to, so maybe that is clear in Mark's formulation. I look at the Y that I can get to from X by applying the W and the L basis, but I can't get back from Y there. And that would be a W invariant subspace. Okay? So I can take the quotient and get something that's indexed by the things equivalent to X, and those are, that is the left cell representation. So get a W representation on this quotient. And with a basis indexed by, say, C of X, which is defined to be the Y, such that Y is equivalent to X. I hope that's clear. So I take a look at everything. So in this quotient, I can take a look at the image of the basis elements of things that are equivalent to X, and those will form a basis of the quotient, obviously. Okay. So this is called the left cell representation. Afforded by okay, so that's the basic setup. Got left cells, right cells in the bio group. The only way to compute them in perfect generality is to write down the change of basis matrix and go and follow your notion there. Okay, so it's computationally intensive to compute them in any particular example one, and so in the classical cases, you can work hard to give closed form descriptions of the left cells without actually computing the change of basis matrix, but it's not so relevant for us. Okay, so that was the toy example, that was warm up, and what we want to do is do the same thing for our Chandra modules. Yeah, so that's just meant to. This is the left. Well, so this is the left cell. This is the left cell in W containing X. So I look at everything that is left equivalent to X. So that is to say, it's the cell that contains X. So I was telling Jeff and David that when I was downloading these videos that I did for my first lecture last week, I was shocked to learn that I had only talked for 45 minutes. So I thought I'd talked for an hour and 15 minutes. So because I was unused to the pacing with slides. So I'm more used to the pacing with boards, but I mean, you guys are really slowing me down. So so I'll have to take the half hour that I gave to you last week and take it back or something. Okay, so I want to do the same thing for Harshana, or do the same thing for Harshana module. So,
Peter?
Yeah.
So in that vein, if it winds up being that you want to take all morning, then
Sure.
drive to the
Yeah.
afternoon.
We can be flexible. Yeah, no, I'm not hiding out there. Okay, so. Okay, so you can restrict to the atlas setting, but if you want to think about more general symmetric pairs, you can. But so fix G, K as usual, and let's look at M rho GK. This is the category of GK modules. No, G is complex, and so G of R will be the real group corresponding to K. So everything is complex, hopefully, at trivial infinitesimal character.
So this is the one that's 43 dimensional for GL4?
Yeah, I guess that's right. So, for example, well, let's start with something that's more comprehensible. So for SL2R, the size of this fellow audience participation, there's only two good guesses, I think.
One.
So you would guess it to be one? Three? I guess you could do 1 plus 3. Any other guesses? Okay, so this is the right answer. So just to remind you, I mean the reason Mark guessed 3 is he was thinking that it was the block of the trivium. Okay, so at this moment we could I'll make a comment about that, but at this moment we don't need to. So this is the size of the block of the trivial, and this is the size of the other block. So the irreducible principal series, and then yeah, I guess we saw 43 appearing for GL4. Okay, so again, this is terrible notation, but it's just necessarily locally. So K here means scrutiny group. So let me write it this way. Now, am I going to get into trouble? Maybe not. So these are parameters having infinitesimal character rho. And so we have the standard modules David talked about, and their irreducible quotients. So it's obvious that the irreducibles here span the Grotny group, and it's been noted several times that the change of basis matrix between the i's and the j's is upper triangular with one diagonal, so therefore the two bases. Okay, so the one thing that was totally transparent in the category O setting was that there was this Weyl group action by the left regular representation on the analog of this vector space. And there's something similar, but it's a little less, it takes a few more words to say, and I'll only give a hint about it, but will be relevant later, at least for Roger's talk, presumably. So again, W acts on, and there's some easy formulas. Why the formulas work, I'll maybe say a word or two about easy formulas on the I basis. Okay, this is the coherent. This is called coherent continuation. Okay, so we can just define this before. that, I don't know. So I guess I'm supposed to be less than the things I can get to. If J of tau appears in W of J of gamma for some W. Okay? So just the exact same definition. I've got these two distinguished bases. The basis of standard modules where this W action, which I've hidden from you, I haven't told you where it comes from yet. It's the coherent, so-called coherent continuation representation. There are some easy formulas that you can just read off from the block command, for example. It acts, the action is...
Is it essentially permuting the eyes?
Pardon me?
Is it essentially permuting the eyes?
Up to the possibility of type 2 things allowing...
It's just worse for Cayley.
Yeah.
The cross action is what you say, but there's some Cayley transforms too.
It's not just
I mean, why don't you, for SL2, they're just, I mean, the block of the trivial, they're just three things. Why don't you just write what?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So, but let me just So let me just finish this and we'll do this. So, and then again, so you have a representation, cell representation. This Z vector space with basis indexed by C gamma, which is the tau, which the tau is equivalent to. Okay, so just the exact same way. The comment here is that there's no analog of left and right in general, because there's only one file group action. There's not a left action and right action. There's just one action. Okay. Okay, so let's do an example. So it's okay, so did we have running notation for the parameters for SL2R?